From metal to paper, how humanity learned to trust symbols over reality. History does not begin with money. It begins with trust. Long before the first coin was struck or the first bill was printed, early civilizations traded through barter. Grain for livestock, salt for tools, labor for protection. This system worked only while societies were small. As populations grew, barter collapsed under its own weight. You could not divide a cow easily. You could not carry sacks of grain across deserts without loss. What humanity needed was not just a medium of exchange, but a store belief. That belief would first take physical form as metal. The birth of monetary metal. C. 3000 to 600 BCE. Archaeological evidence shows that as early as 3000 BCE, Mesopotamian civilizations such as Sumer and Akkad began using silver by weight as a unit of account. Silver was not yet money in the modern sense, but it was already trusted. It did not rot. It could be divided. It held value across time. By c. 600 BCE, the Kingdom of Lydia, modern-day Turkey, introduced the world's first known metal coins, made from electrum, a natural alloy of gold and silver. This was revolutionary. For the first time, a governing authority stamped metal and declared, "This piece has value because we say it does." And people believed them. Gold and silver soon spread across empires. The Persian daric, c. 500 BC, Greek silver drachmas, Roman aureus gold, and denarius silver. These metals did not gain value because kings declared them valuable. Kings used them because people already trusted them. Gold and silver possessed 5 qualities that made them perfect money: scarcity, durability, divisibility, portability, universality. No empire invented these properties. Nature did. Rome's mistake. When governments touch the metal, the Roman Empire offers one of the earliest lessons in monetary collapse. For centuries, Rome's silver denarius held steady. But as military spending increased and territorial expansion slowed, emperors faced a problem. They needed more money than silver allowed. Their solution was not innovation. It was dilution. Starting around 64 CE under Emperor Nero, Rome began reducing the silver content of its coins while keeping the face value the same. By the 3rd century CE, the denarius contained less than 5% silver. Prices soared. Trust collapsed. Soldiers demanded payment in goods instead of coins. Trade fractured. Rome did not fall because of barbarians alone. It fell because its money lied. This pattern, governments manipulating currency to fund power, would repeat endlessly. The long reign of honest money, 500 to 1,500. After Rome, gold and silver quietly ruled the world for nearly 1,000 years. Islamic caliphates minted gold dinars and silver dirhams. Medieval Europe relied on silver pennies. China used silver ingots alongside early paper experiments. But something important happened in China. During the Tang Dynasty, 7th century, and later the Song Dynasty, 10th to 13th century, China introduced the world's first paper money. Initially, it was backed by metal. Notes represented stored silver or copper. At first, it worked. Then the temptation arrived. By the Yuan Dynasty, 13th century, paper money was printed without sufficient metal backing. Inflation exploded. By the 14th century, paper currency collapsed entirely. Marco Polo, who witnessed China's paper money system in the late 1200s, was amazed, not realizing he was observing both brilliance and disaster. Europe took notes, but it would wait centuries before repeating the mistake. Goldsmiths and the birth of banking, 1600 to 1700. By the 17th century, Europe's merchants needed safer ways to store gold. Goldsmiths offered vaults and issued receipts, promises that the holder could redeem gold on demand. Over time, something dangerous occurred. Goldsmiths realized that most people never redeemed their gold at the same time, so they issued more receipts than gold they actually held. This was the birth of fractional reserve banking. Money quietly transformed from metal to claims on metal to claims exceeding metal. Governments noticed. The gold standard and the illusion of discipline, 1800 to 1914. By the 19th century, global trade demanded stability. Nations adopted the gold standard, fixing their currencies to a specific amount of gold. Britain formalized it in 1821. Most major economies followed by 1870. Under the system, governments could not print unlimited money. Trade balances mattered. War became expensive, and that was the problem. World War I, the first great betrayal, 1914. In 1914, as World War I erupted, governments faced an impossible choice. Fight a total war honestly and lose, or abandon gold and survive. They chose survival. One by one, nations suspended gold convertibility and printed money to fund the war. Inflation followed. Debt exploded. Trust fractured. Gold did not fail. Governments failed to keep their promise. The dollar rises from the ashes, 1944. After 2 world wars and a global depression, the world needed a new anchor. In 1944, representatives from 44 nations met in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. The result was the Bretton Woods Agreement. Key decisions. The U.S. dollar will be backed by gold at $35 per ounce. Other currencies would be pegged to the dollar. The U.S. became the world's monetary center. Gold still mattered, but now it was hidden behind paper. The system relied on one assumption, that the United States would not abuse its privilege. History would prove otherwise. 1971, the day money changed forever. By the late 1960s, U.S. spending on the Vietnam War and social programs outpaced gold reserves. Foreign governments began demanding gold instead of dollars. On August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon made an announcement that permanently altered human history. The U.S. would end the convertibility of the dollar into gold. No vote, no global consensus, just a decision. From that moment on, all major currencies became fiat, money backed by nothing but government decree. Gold was officially demonetized, but trust was not restored. The quiet question no one asked. For thousands of years, money had been tied, directly or indirectly, to something real. Now it was tied to confidence alone. And confidence, history shows, is fragile. As the world entered an age of unlimited money creation, debt, and financial engineering, a silent question began forming beneath the surface. If money is no longer real, what happens when people realize it? That question would not be answered immediately. First, the world would fall in love with paper wealth, then with digital numbers, and eventually with something no government could fully control. But that story does not begin yet.